The moment you stop chasing revenge is the moment you become untouchable. Think about it. That moment when they laughed at you, when they ignored you like you were nothing, when they spoke over you, dismissed you, treated you like you were invisible. You felt it, that quiet burn in your chest, the urge to prove them wrong, to make them regret it, to make them feel what you felt. It stays with you. You replay it in your mind, over and over, what you should have said, what you should have done, how you will rise one day just to stand in front of them and watch their faces change. And they expect that. They expect your anger, your reaction, your need to get even. But what they do not realize is this: you are not about to chase them, you are about to outgrow them. Because while they are waiting for your revenge, you are becoming something they cannot reach, cannot control, cannot understand. Because revenge is for the weak, power is something else entirely. Revenge feels powerful, it feels like control, like justice, like finally taking back what was taken from you. For a moment, it gives you a sense of strength, like you are no longer the one who was hurt, like you are the one in charge. But that feeling is a trap, because revenge does not come from power. It comes from damage, a hit to your ego, a wound to your identity. A moment where you felt small, ignored, disrespected. And now something inside you is trying to correct that imbalance. You want justice. You want to be seen. You want them to finally recognize your worth. So your mind locks onto it. You replay the moment over and over. What you should have said, what you should have done, how you will respond next time, how you will prove them wrong. It becomes a loop, a quiet obsession that drains your focus without you even realizing it. And the worst part is, it feels justified. It feels like you are moving forward, but in reality you are stuck. Stuck in a moment that already passed. Stuck giving your energy to people who no longer deserve your attention. But what if I told you something uncomfortable? What if revenge is the very thing keeping you small? What if the energy you are using to think about them is the exact energy you need to build yourself? Today, we are not talking about getting even. We are talking about rising so high, becoming so focused, so disciplined, so powerful, that revenge becomes irrelevant. Because at that level, they do not matter anymore. And that is where real power begins. Revenge feels good at first. There is a rush that comes with it, a spike of energy, a sense that you are finally taking control of the situation. Your mind starts creating scenarios where you win, where they lose, where everything balances out. And in those moments, it feels like power. But what you are really feeling is temporary dopamine, a short-lived high that tricks you into thinking you are moving forward. In reality, you are standing still, just emotionally louder. Because revenge is built on illusion. It gives you the feeling of control, but only as long as you stay focused on the person who hurt you. And that is the trap. The more you think about them, the more energy you give them. The more you replay the past, the more it owns you. Revenge does not free you, it chains you to the past. And the cost is heavier than most people realize. It becomes mental obsession. Your thoughts keep circling back to the same moment, the same person, the same pain. Even when you try to focus on your own life, something pulls you back. You lose clarity, you lose direction. Then comes the emotional drain, anger, frustration, bitterness. It sits under everything you do. It affects your decisions, your mood, your energy. You carry it into your work, your relationships, your future. And without noticing, you stay tied to the very person who hurt you. The more you focus on them, the less you build yourself. That is the real cost. There are two paths in that moment. The weak reaction is immediate, emotional. You respond, you argue, you try to get even. You let your feelings control your actions. And in doing that, you give away your power. The powerful reaction looks different. You step back, you observe, you feel the emotion, but you do not act on it. You understand that reacting instantly only keeps you trapped. So instead of exploding outward, you turn inward. You start asking better questions. You start thinking long-term. Most people never make that shift. There are people who spend years trying to prove others wrong. They build their entire identity around one moment of disrespect. Every move they make is driven by the need to be seen, to be validated, to finally get that reaction. But here is the truth. Even if they succeed, they never feel satisfied, because they did not grow for themselves. They grew in response to someone else. Their direction was never truly theirs, and that is why revenge will always fall short, because it keeps you dependent. Revenge is not power, it is dependence disguised as strength. At some point, you get tired, not of them, but of carrying the weight, the anger, the replayed conversations, the constant tension sitting in your chest. It stops feeling powerful and starts feeling heavy. You realize that no matter how much you think about it, no matter how many scenarios you create in your head, nothing actually changes. That is the turning point. The moment you understand that the real burden was never what they did, it was what you kept holding on to. And that is where the shift begins. Letting go is often misunderstood. People think it means forgiving them, accepting what happened, acting like it did not matter. But that is not what this is. Letting go is not for them. It is for you. It is the decision to stop giving your time, your energy, your focus to something that is no longer serving you. It is choosing your future over your past. Letting go does not mean they were right. It means you are done wasting your energy. That is the difference, because the moment you release that need for revenge, something changes inside you. Your perspective sharpens, your mind clears. You are no longer reacting to everything that reminds you of them. You start shifting from reaction to control, from emotion to strategy, from ego to vision. You stop asking, how do I make them regret it? And you start asking, how do I build something so strong that none of this matters anymore? That question changes everything, because now your actions are no longer driven by pain. They are driven by purpose. Silence becomes your weapon. You do not feel the need to explain yourself. You do not chase closure. You do not announce your next move. You move differently, quietly, intentionally, and discipline replaces emotion. Instead of reacting when you feel triggered, you redirect that energy into your work, into your growth, into becoming someone who is no longer affected by the same things. This is where your identity begins to change. You stop being the victim in the story and start becoming the author. No more waiting for someone else to validate you. No more living in reaction to what someone did. You take full control of your direction. And once that happens, revenge starts to lose its grip, because you are no longer trying to win against them. You are focused on building a life where they do not even exist in your equation. This is where everything changes. The energy you once gave to anger now has a direction. This is the rise. Real power is not loud, it is not emotional, it is not reactive. Real power is controlled, it is self-control. The ability to feel everything and still choose your actions carefully. No impulse, no unnecessary reaction, just precision. It is focus, the kind that cuts out distractions, ignores noise, and locks onto what actually matters. While others are busy watching people, you are building something real. It is emotional detachment. Not coldness, but clarity. You are no longer controlled by how you feel in the moment. You see things for what they are, not how they made you feel. And when you redirect your energy into that mindset, everything starts to change. You start building skills instead of arguments. While others talk, you improve. Quietly, consistently. Every day you become sharper. Your body transforms. The frustration that once drained you now fuels you. Discipline shows up in your habits. You look different. You carry yourself differently. There is a presence about you that was not there before. Your finances begin to grow because your attention is no longer scattered. You make better decisions. You think long-term. You stop chasing validation and start creating value. And most importantly, your mind clears. No more constant replay. No more emotional noise. Just direction. Just purpose. This is where the contrast becomes undeniable. They expect anger, you give silence. They expect reaction, you give results. And that is what confuses them, because they were ready for a version of you that no longer exists. Your success becomes the loudest response. Not because you are trying to prove something, but because you have moved on to a different level entirely. You do not destroy them. You outgrow them. And while they are still operating from the same mindset, the same habits, the same limitations, you are evolving. You are leveling up in ways they cannot see. One day they look at you and you are unrecognizable, not just in what you have, but in who you are. Calm, focused, disciplined, untouched by the things that once controlled you. And that is when it becomes real. You are no longer someone who reacts, you are someone who builds. This is the final stage, the rule, and it has nothing to do with controlling others. Because real ruling is not about dominance, it is not about power over people, it is about power over yourself, your thoughts, your emotions, your reactions. That is where true authority begins. You reach a point where things that once triggered you no longer have that effect. The words, the disrespect, the situations that used to pull you in now pass right through you. Not because you became numb, but because you became aware. You see through people now, through their intentions, their insecurities, their attempts to provoke a reaction. And instead of getting pulled into it, you step back, you observe, you choose. That is emotional mastery. And with it comes a shift that most people never reach. You realize they were never your enemy. Your lack of control was. It was never about what they did. It was about how much power you gave it. How long you allowed it to live in your mind. How deeply it influenced your actions. Once you take that power back, everything changes. When you stop needing revenge, you stop being controllable. No one can bait you. No one can manipulate your emotions. No one can predict your reactions because you are no longer reacting from instinct. You are acting with intention. And when no one can control you, you become dangerous in the best way. Not loud, not aggressive, but precise, focused, unshakable. This is the transformation. You are calm, even in situations that used to break you. You are focused, even when distractions try to pull you away. You are disciplined, even when it would be easier to fall back into old patterns. You do not feel the need to prove anything anymore, because you already know who you are. You move in silence, you build in power, you let your actions speak, and your results echo. And by the time anyone notices, you are already far beyond their reach. The world expects you to react. That is why it fears the one who does not. Anyone can get angry. Anyone can seek revenge. Anyone can make noise. But very few can stay silent, stay focused, and keep building when everything inside them wants to respond. Revenge is loud. Power is silent. And that silence is not weakness. It is control. It is discipline. It is knowing that your energy is too valuable to waste on temporary satisfaction. Because in the end, you do not rise by tearing others down. You rise by becoming someone they cannot reach, someone they cannot influence, someone they cannot distract, someone who moved forward while they stayed exactly where they were. That is the difference. So ask yourself, are you still chasing revenge? Or are you finally ready to rule? Because the moment you stop looking back is the moment you take control of everything ahead.